Hello, everyone. This is Yu Tsai. Welcome to Let's Talk. And my guest have joined me. She's no stranger to you all. You might know her as the host on Bravo Top Chef, which we have followed for many, many years. But she's now the host of this amazing show she has created, celebrating immigrants around the United States, Taste the Nation. And I'm so happy that you can join me today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me on. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Well, I when I saw the preview, Taste the Nation, I had to reach out to you. And for those of you guys are watching, booking guests is actually done by myself. I just direct DM all the people I love, and I hound them until they answer me. And I'm so glad I was able to get your attention. And because the show resonates so much with me as an immigrant, I could not tell you how important it is to see the show. And for those of you guys are watching, please do watch the show. And not as an immigrant, you will absolutely love it as well. But for me, it's so close to my heart. And I want you to share a little bit with everyone. How did this show came about?
Well, I started working on immigrant rights with the ACLU, and I'm not an attorney, so whenever I would speak on their behalf, I would always refer to my own personal immigrant story. I came here from India when I was 4, and after a while, I felt like I needed new material, so I started, just befriending the attorneys at the ACLU and asking them questions and just meeting other people and looking at other immigrants, and it really interested me. And there was so much rhetoric coming out of Washington that was negative, with the Muslim ban, with the family and child separation at the border, and I just felt like I had to do something, which is why I got involved with the ACLU. But in the process of finding all that out, I thought I want to do something that's positive and that shows the humanity of all of us immigrants, because we've really built this country, and immigration is a good thing. I'm not saying that it should be free flowing and there should be no regulation. I'm not saying that. But what I want to recognize is that, this country was built by waves and waves and waves of different immigrants from all over the world over the years. And so I wanted to look at that, and I wanted to look at that through the lens of food, because it's a neutral topic. A lot of these communities are very insular, and with good reason. And, they don't want to talk to the media. At the same time, they've not really been represented well by the mainstream media. So I thought that food was a good entree to talking about other deeper, very important things. And that's really how the show came about.
And we know that you have been on Top Chef for a long, long time, and such a weird and amazing contrast that from fine dining, eating for probably last 10 years to eating pack rats. And I love the dichotomy of it. I love the contrast of it, and I love that you really embedded yourself into these stories and journeys, and you had your mom on the show. And that was so special. What was it like for you to have her with you, and was she receptive when you asked her to join the show?
I mean, yeah, I didn't ask her until the week before, because I didn't want to discuss too much with my mom. So I just said, Mom, I'm taping this show, this, Indian episode. She obviously knew about this show for a long time. And I said, we're doing it in Jackson Heights. And I said, I think it would be really nice if you were on the show. Can I fly you to New York? Because she lives in Los Angeles. And I said, I really want you on. And I kind of just didn't give her any choice. I just said it like, I would really like you to do this, which is how my family talks to each other anyway. One thing I have to say is, in Indian culture, like, family is front and center, and you always help your family out, to the point of excruciation, so I just was like, I need you to do this. And she was happy to do it. I was, less involved with the Indian episode as a producer than I was with the other episodes, only because I purposely let my showrunner, kind of lead that one even, a little more than normal, because I didn't feel I could be objective about it. I really had a lot of reservations about having my daughter Krishna on screen. You see my home, you see my kitchen. It's a very vulnerable making episode for me. And so, I I just told my showrunner, like, you're gonna have to lead this, because I didn't want it to be so self-absorbed. I was scared that people would be like, oh, who did you think she is? You know, she gets a show and it's all about her and her family. And I didn't want that, because the whole point of the show is to give voice to different immigrants who haven't had a platform that I think they should.
I love that because I when I saw your mom on the show, it brought back memory because I did a show, a cooking show in Taiwan, and I did not tell
Mhm.
my mother either. I used my brother to trick her, and it was like the day before. I'm all, by the way, I kind of need you on the show because it's a family episode, and she was petrified. She was petrified, and my mother is actually really, really friendly and nice, but she's shy. But when we filmed her, she came across like a dragon Chinese woman because she was so nervous. And I keep saying, and in that episode, I started bawling. I cried because for the first time I realized how important it was being an immigrant. That what it took for my family to move from Taiwan to United States and build a family, and my dad worked in the kitchen as a dishwasher and built a family and provided. And I never thanked them. As an immigrant, we shared the same story that we didn't want to celebrate who we were when we're younger, right? So I never thanked them. So I used the
Yeah.
opportunity to thank them, and I'm bawling, and my mom's like so nervous. She's like, "Mm-hmm, okay, mm-hmm," like give me a pat on the back. I'm like, "Ooh, that's not gonna be pretty, mom. You need to like do something." but uh, but I saw that in your mom was amazing because she was, to me, she was so authentic. Like basically, she said, "You're gonna eat this now, and we're buying this." And I saw in your face just like, "Mom, I don't like those."
I know everybody turns into the 12-year-old self when they get around their mom, you know? So I hate Karela, which is what that is. It's bitter gourd, and it's really, really good for you. It has a ton of antioxidants and vitamins. I still hate it. I've never liked it. I was forced to eat it as a child. So, we all have those kind of things, and we all have this like mortifying moment when our friends come over and there's some funky smelling food that, our American or white classmates aren't used to. And you're always cringing. Like whenever, I think that kind of PTSD is always there a little bit, even as you grow up. When you open your lunchbox and it stinks of curry,
Oh
and
my
you're like,
god,
ew, what is that?
those days. But have you had it with bitter gourd with minced pork and black beans?
No, but I imagine that the black bean would like bury the taste of the bitter gourd. So that might be, the way that I can eat it. I'll have to look.
Well, I'm gonna have to prepare for you when I see you because that's a traditional Taiwanese dish, and we grew up hating as well. Definitely becomes acquired taste, but and you begin to love it, and because that's what you do, right? And we have a dish in Taiwan called stinky tofu, and I don't know you ever had that before. It is fermented, and when you walk by, it literally smells like sewage. But for whatever
Yeah.
reason, our Taiwanese palates, we just absolutely love them.
Yeah, a number of foods that you kind of just have to grow up with, and every culture has them. And I don't know if I've had that. I mean, I've had fermented tofu and I remember it being strong, but I don't remember it smelling that funky.
Oh, they're funky. It's one food that Andrew Zimmer actually said she will not eat. With all the crazy food that he eats, that one he didn't like. I'm like,
Really?
what? Well,
Well,
I'm
I'll have to look out for it. If he won't eat it, I will.
and I know you grew up in La Puente, which is really close to me actually. I went to school in Walnut, so we're neighbors. I think our
That's
football
great.
team probably competed against each other.
I went to Berkman High School, you know? I'm sure we played each other in basketball and football or whatever. I'm trying to find the best light for you. Here we go. That's better.
You look
Um,
amazing.
that's Yeah, I grew up in La Puente. There were not many Indians, there in the 80s. Um, people would look at me and they would say maybe she's Mexican, but then I certainly didn't have a Mexican name, nor did I speak. Spanish at the time. So, it was hard. But I grew up with a lot of immigrants. I mean, most of the people that I went to school with were either Mexican or Filipino. I had a lot of Asians, Korean, also Chinese, and a lot of Black kids, and it got progressively more POC from my freshman year to my junior year and senior year. But no Indian.
And how did that influence you as you develop into modeling and crossing over to hosting? And to me, you broke the glass ceiling when you positioned yourself as executive producer on Top Chef and the host. Because I know that it doesn't matter what color you are, that's in the spectrum. It's always a constant battle for inclusion in this business. And one of the things.
Sure. I mean, it was really hard. When I started doing what I was doing on the Food Network, way before I even, started with Top Chef, I'm talking 20 years ago, it was really hard because I didn't see anybody who looked like me. There was not a single Indian that I can think of who was on TV. And so, I had a lot of people I looked up to, but they were men or they were different, ethnicities of women. But I think it makes a big difference to see representation on TV or in magazines. And, I also have a big scar on my arm, so I never thought that I could really model. But it was the grunge period and tattoos started coming in and Helmut Newton found me. And that's how I kind of, did more than be a fit model. But I saw myself as attractive. I knew I was attractive, but I never saw myself on the caliber with all those white girls like Cindy and Claudia and Christy, or Karen Mulder, those kind of people. So like that was the generation I was in, and I was just feeling lucky to be able to pay off my college loans. I also started late after I graduated. I started my last semester when I was studying abroad in Spain. And that was the first time I really felt beautiful. Like I had to go away out of America. I had to go to Europe to really feel like, oh, wow, people really like the way I look and they actually like it because I'm dark. Also there's so much colorism in Indian culture. And, my grandmother would always say, like, don't go in the sun, take an umbrella, or, you'll get too dark or whatever. And so, that really does a number on a girl's self-esteem. So I'm sure that it affected me. I just didn't expect to do that well, and then, it was just a matter of making a living. I was writing a little bit. I was auditioning for acting roles. I was still doing the occasional catalog or modeling job. Um, I had a syndicated column for the New York Times. I, had a style column in Harper's Bazaar, and all of these things combined made a living, and eventually I did the cookbook just on a fluke because, everyone wanted to know what a model eats. And after my first movie, I had to gain 20 pounds for my first movie. And so I always loved to cook, and I started taking the fat out of recipes. Those days we thought fat was bad. And so somehow that got to somebody and they're like, oh, would you like to do a cookbook? And I said, it's always been a fantasy of mine to do a cookbook because I love cookbooks. I've always collected them. And that's really how my career in food started. It started by accident. So, I really didn't take the food thing more seriously than a very elevated hobby. I knew I was a good cook, so I was, my friends always asked me to do the cooking. But other than that, like, I never thought about it as a career. But that's why I always tell young people, like, push against the open door. Never say no to an opportunity because you never know where it's going to lead you or who you're going to meet. Who would have known that I would, find success in food?
And I think it's interesting too that you were saying all different career that you had going at the same time, but yet at the time that they didn't get to celebrate you as an Indian woman until we saw you on Top Chef. And I remember this moment really clearly because the first season when you hit Top Chef, I was shooting for Esquire magazine at the time, and we didn't get to work together because my schedule and yours did not meet up during that time. And I remember your name came across my desk, and I was like, "Oh my God, who is this woman? She is so stunning. She's my kind of girl." And because I went through the "don't stay in the sun, you're going to get dark. People think you pick rice" mentality, because that's how they say in Taiwan. If you're in the
Yeah, totally.
But
Yeah.
so I always found the color skin that, of course, that when I see you, I see the inspiration and aspiration of the possibilities. And that's one of the huge reason I want you on the show, is that when I got to see them and then when I got to see your name on my desk, and the reason I said that was important because I knew then you made it and you're going to be massive, because nobody comes across my desk at that time is nobody for me to shoot at that time of my career. It was like every one of anybody's that we shooting cover in Woman of the Month or whatever that may be. And I remember it was like, this pre-Chrissy Teigen day, because I was just discovering her, working together. And when you hit my desk, I'm like, oh my God, I need to work with this woman because I want to be on this ride with her. And she's not white and she's not black, but she's right there in the perfect spectrum of what I love. And so I knew then that you may not have known yet, but I knew then you were going to become this mega star. And then be able to watch you on that show on Top Chef, it really inspired me to know that I can too do this. And I was a photographer, and I'm still a photographer by trade. And food came from a total accident as well. My show was a, I want to say, due to American network that say no to me moment.
Yeah. Good for
And
you.
I want to know that about you. When you start shopping your show, did you still find that being a woman and being a woman of color and diverse, it was hard to penetrate the industry?
Definitely. Listen, I've been on TV a long time, okay? I've been on TV for 14 years. I've been nominated for 9 Emmy Awards. You know, and yet, my show has, and also I have as a host. But I mean, it's taken me this long to be able to get my own show, which is my material, Like obviously I'm the host of Top Chef, but that show was fully formed and it is not, I didn't create that show. But this show is completely, for me. And my producing partner, David, who's wonderful. But I mean, like it took me this long. Like I'm a brown woman working in a white man's world. And so I'm not only brown, I'm female. So there's gender politics with that. You even hear big, big actresses like Reese Witherspoon, who are so talented and say, we have trouble finding juicy roles. So, like, you can imagine how us brown and black girls feel. And so it was really important for me to do this show because the people that you see, those are the people I grew up with. Those are the people that we went to school with in Hacienda Heights. Those are the mom and dad's house after school, whether they were Peruvian or Thai or whatever. And those people interest me. I want to say that like those are the people that are my inspiration. So, and I never see those people unless they're like bodega owners, right? So like I don't want to see them like that. I want to see them how they are, like really themselves, not a white person's interpretation of them. And so the show was really important for me to do as a rebuttal to all of the hate that's coming out of the Oval Office with Stephen Miller and Jeff Sessions and like a Steve Bannon, all people named Steve, I don't know why, but I wanted to do something to say, hey, stop talking about us in such a negative, untrue fashion because we make the economy go, we contribute to the music, the arts, the film, the food of this country, and we are willing to do the hard work and pay it forward. So I just wanted to show that. I didn't want to say that because I had been saying that for a long time in op-ed pages and also in speeches for the ACLU and stuff. I wanted to show it. And I wanted the people whose stories I was trying to talk about to tell their own story in the way that they saw fit. And I'm really happy that I got to do it. It was hard to get the show made. A lot of people said no. A lot of big networks said no. I mean, one network even sent me a long email about why they were saying no. And I actually had almost given up. And then my agent called and he said, hey, Hulu would really like to meet with you. And I was like, I'm not flying to LA again. I'm sorry. Because I did it like a couple of times and on my own dime. And I was just tired. And I said, I'm not doing it. They said, no, they're really interested in you specifically. And I said, I'm not going to fly. And they said, do a Skype call at least. It was like this, but with 5 different windows on my computer. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to pitch the show that I actually want to do in the way that I want to do it. Because, when you pitch different networks, like CNN has a totally different model than, say, Netflix or, Nat Geo or Apple TV. Those are all slightly different. So you want to tailor your pitch a little bit so that the network can see how it would fit into their other programming. But in Hulu's case, I didn't do that. I just said exactly what I wanted the show to be. I didn't edit myself. I was cursing left and right. I have a potty mouth, but I just did it, and they were very receptive. And it's not an accident that almost everyone on that call was female.
Wow. Can I tell you that it is so important people hear that, because people assume that you're a host, Emmy-nominated host, and an incredible career, that somebody can just hand you this project. When I saw your name, I remember one of the posts you put on Instagram, and I go, she's a badass. I'm so happy she posted this, because I can really relate to it. Because when I was trying to make my show, people were like, oh, why does a gay man know about food? And then why does a gay Chinese man know about food? Wait, why does a gay Chinese photographer man know about food? So it's all these excuses, whatever box they want. And I remember somebody asked, somebody reviewed and said, oh, it's an Anthony Bourdain-esque show. And you came back and said, hold it. I'm a woman. I'm taking my mom. I'm an immigrant. I have my stories, and you will pay attention, which I absolutely love, because you hear that from people all the time. And what bonkers me is this: the custodial of food heritage comes from women of color.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what region, what world you're in. It truly is the women that hold on to those recipes. It's passed down. And I never understood why, when I turn on television, Food Network, it's predominantly men. And why that you can only have one woman judge sitting on a panel of 3. Why is that I didn't understand? And I knew, and I saw on Top Chef, you as executive producer had started moving that meter, start breaking that stereotype. And I so appreciate of that, what you do, because that's what's going to change that dial to the right place. And I hope it goes so far. When I turn on television, all I see is women chefs on TV, because it needs to happen.
Yeah. We need to do more on Top Chef, but I'm really proud of how we have been able to move the needle. And that's also because, Donnie Narquinez, who is my showrunner on Top Chef, she's also a person of color. And, she started, when my first season, she was just a PA. And she worked her way up, and I love her so much. And, now, because both of us are women of color, it's important to both of us. And, like I said, I'm hoping that everything that's in the ether will make the next season even more so diverse. But, that was a concerted effort, not only by me, but also by other people. But, it's just hard. It's hard. You have to just do your best and try. You have to imagine a world that you want to exist sometimes, because you have no choice.
And it is Pride Month, so I have to thank you for always celebrating the LGBTQ community. And I mean, the winner of this season, if you guys haven't watched Top Chef yet, thank you so much. Chinese, I get it. LGBTQ, I get it. I was championing for her, so I get it. And I just got an email from her that she's trying to work out her schedule to come and talk to me as well. And I have to say, I remember Travis was on your show, season 6, and he said, I'm a gay man and I'm coming out on this show. I felt, by the way, he and I are friends now, we text each other. I felt backwards, because your show has done so much for me growing up without a television screen. Because back then I wasn't even doing TV. This is before my top model judging days, before doing food. But it makes, I think you need to know that, you need to hear that, how important those little things that's in the edit, that little jewel. He goes, and the funny thing, he goes, I'm gay and I like Asian men. I fell backwards. I just went, what? Wait a minute, wait. because here's something crazy. Back then, you were on before Grinder, guys. There's an AOL, and people would literally say no blacks, no Asians on profiles, right? So, so I'm going through. I'm going. Wait a minute. There's a white dude. He's gay, and he's a chef, and he cooks Asian food, and he likes Asian people. Are those people out there? Are those people?
My costume designer on the show, Albert Mendonça, he is gay and he loves Asian men. And you know, half my set is gay. I mean, I'm as gay as it's possible to be while in a heteronormative relationship. And I've always been family. I've always, I mean, where would I be without my gay family? And it's a big, big, very diverse family. And so I'm always happy to, do everything I can to be gay forward.
Well, I want to dive right back into the show really quickly. There was a scene that really the few scenes that really captivated me. The scene that you decide to go to Vegas to discover Thai food, which is my favorite food, but you chose to eat in the car. And I was like, I want to know, why did you eat in the car?
Because people do that. I had a vision, I had a very specific vision for this show. And I will say that I'm really pleased at how people are reacting to the cinematography, because not a single person had any experience except for me doing food.
Wow.
Nobody, my showrunner, my director of photography, my producing partner, none of them had done a food show. But it worked out in my favor because I could just create from scratch exactly what I wanted. And I love my DP. Hunter is so, so great. And he and I have a tacit, like a telepathy, like an unspoken communication. I can feel him in my peripheral vision, and I know how to turn so he can get the shot that I want him to get. And I wanted the show to feel super expansive because this country is so diverse and it's so beautiful. Just the natural landscape, the difference between the sea islands in South Carolina and the Gullah Geechee episode to the Arizona desert to the lush tropics of Hawaii, But I also, at the same time, wanted it to be really, really intimate, because food is a very intimate thing, and food is a very emotional thing. And you never see that with food programming, including my other show, Top Chef. And I wanted to see that because people have so many emotional ties and nostalgic feelings about food. And I wanted to bring that out, especially if you are living in another culture. The way you pass on your culture to your children the fastest and the most often is through food. And
Absolutely.
The way that you feel comfortable, when you're homesick for your home culture is through food. So I wanted it to feel really intimate. And so, we wanted to show that Thai food is so ubiquitous. You can even get pretty good Thai food from drive-through. And I said, let's just eat in the car. Because that's something that people on the West Coast do. Like, when you're in high school and you finally get a car, you just want your car, And Mark, who's actually also from Southern California, and now he's a professor in Las Vegas, it felt like I was talking to a guy we would have gone to high school with, And so it just made sense. I didn't care about like where we were or what I look like. Even my wardrobe is really different, obviously, from Top Chef. It's very purposefully bland. It's just, I do my own makeup. At a certain point in the season, I just realized that having less people on the set is what makes that intimacy. So I love my makeup artist. I used her for years all the time, but I had to send her home because, I could do my own makeup, and I didn't want the series to be about me. I didn't want anything to distract from these participants because it was their story I was trying to bring to life.
Well, it's hard not to stare at you because you're absolutely gorgeous on the show regardless. But I know exactly what you're saying because when we watch you and grow up with you on Top Chef, you are a boss lady and you are incredibly intimidating. And what I got to see on the show is that you really let all your guards down and you embed yourself into their lives. And And my favorite thing on the show is that you always not forget that we're watching you and we're with you. And you just give us a little peek to bring us in. And those little jams I look forward to every time because I feel like you're talking just to me.
I really am. Very early in my writing career, whenever I would have writer's block during that first cookbook, Easy Exotic, I would sometimes just write on the top because I would do longhand those days. And I would really just write, Dear Kristen, who was my editor. And it helps when you're writing to write to one person. Try not to think that you're talking to, an army of diverse people because then you have no focus. But you're just talking. And I always say, like, pick a person in your life that is your friend, that is your peer, that you respect and that you want to impress, but you really feel close to, and so that creating that intimacy was really important to get the participants to talk, because I'm asking them some really personal questions too. I'm getting in there deep. I mean, the food is just an excuse.
Well, what's an excuse for you to eat pack rat, guys out there? So in one of the episodes, if you guys haven't watched, Padma really extended herself. And I mean, I eat a lot of crazy things from Asia. We eat everything that we butcher everything, we eat everything. But this is different. You at Apache Reservation and you're hunting for your meal. Let's walk us through this process.
I've never been on a Native American reservation before, and I was incredibly honored to be there. And I was with a woman named Twyla Casador, who is so knowledgeable, and she has such a beautiful, deep spirit about her. I'm not a very new agey person. I'm very like, maybe because I'm Indian, I really don't like all that Om Shanti stuff. Like, it makes me cringe when people try to talk about their spirituality. But she to me felt like the real deal. She just had such a grounded, beautiful, sage-like disposition and aura around her. And when I looked out at that landscape, all I saw was a desert with cactus and some shrubs. What she knows and sees is there are wild onions in the ground. And I was like, where do you see a wild onion? And then when she points it out, I'm like, wow, now I could, and I could do it. And the cactus flowers that we made the salsa out of. And, luckily she got the pack rat without me because you have to boil it and stuff and skin it. And so I was thankfully not part of that process. And I was really nervous. I mean, I was born, raised a vegetarian because we're Hindu. And I mean, a lot of Hindus eat meat, but we're from an Orthodox Brahmin family. And so I didn't start eating meat until I was cool. So I'm still a little squeamish about a lot of non-vegetarian things. So pack rat was like way, beyond my comfort zone. Like in the old days of Top Chef, we would always have that one Fear Factor episode with like all the different mystery meat, alligator, rattlesnake, kangaroo, bison, all that stuff. But now I'm executive producer. We don't do that anymore.
But so for those you guys, if you're curious how to make pack rat, the show does give you a really important takeaway. When it's done, the tail falls off. So in case you're making...
That's right. Isn't that great? It's like that little thermometer in the turkey that comes out.
I died laughing so hard. I'm like, is this going to make it into her next book? When the tail falls off, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, you could make that recipe with chicken thighs, which I'll have to have that as a substitution because where the hell are we going to get pack rat? I mean, at Los Inmortales, which is that Peruvian market in Patterson, New Jersey, you get guinea pig. Like you see it frozen. Yeah. How does that taste? I haven't had that.
Well, because I was trained wildlife biologist. I mean, our roommates were all wildlife biologists in college growing up, and we had guinea pigs as pets. And one day the dog attacked the guinea pigs. There were 5 of them, and they were not going to allow the guinea pigs to go to waste. So the next thing you know, they're from New Guinea, so they understood how to skin it, put it on a stick, barbecued it. I just said, you know what? I will try it, but I will not watch you take little Bubba and Cutie and all the ones I've named. And I'm not going to know which one I'm eating, but I will try it. They all just taste like chicken, guys. It's all...
Yeah. I know. I know. That's what I was like. I was happy, to be honest, that it wasn't gamey. Like I've tasted some meats that are really like funky and I'm just not used to it. But I also like I'm a guest in these people's
Mhm.
homes and I need to behave like a gracious guest. And so when you go to somebody else's house, my mother taught me, you be nice, you say thank you try their food and
And they make you eat
it's just
nonstop. I saw how the Thai family just keep going, eat the eggs, eat this. You're like,
I know
you're like, you were so full already. You're like, now? They're like, yes, now. Eat the egg now. He's like,
so bossy. I mean, it's funny because outside of the community, Asians are thought to be like really demure and everything, and they are reserved. They don't talk a lot, but any child of an Asian mother will tell you that they're so bossy. And so these women just reminded me of women, aunties and grandma in my own house.
and then we know that your mom taught you how to cook, and this such a beautiful story. I learned from all my aunties, and every time I talk about Auntie Sue taught me how to cook, people are like, how many recipes does Auntie Sue know? I have five Auntie Sues because in Chinese they're all named Sue, Sue something. So I have five of them. So five plus all their own recipes. There's a lot of them.
I mean, that's the thing. The auntie culture is really big too. Like they all have an opinion. They all want to be nosy in your business, and they all have really good recipes that they always also leave one ingredient out of. Like they want you to make it good. They want you to say it's from them, but just a little bit less good than them.
Well, one of the most incredible journey that I want to thank you is to continue to educate people like me with Chinese American, Asian American is the Chinese episode, learning about chop suey. And I won't go into details of that. So Cecilia Chen, oh my gosh, when you got to interview her, I was on the edge of my seat going, I know about her story, but I never got to see her face. And 100 years old celebration, oh, it brings chills to my arms because I traveled back to Taiwan to see my grandmother who was 100 years old on my last episode of the show as well. And I just felt like we're like sisters. We're so connected. I'm like, oh my God, this show is amazing. And because it was everything that what I thought a show should be when it comes to about food. Because my philosophy is that if you don't like our colors, stop eating my food. Stop eating the food. And
Thank
what I
you.
love that you bought the spectrum, all the food, and you make sure everybody knew hot dog is not just American food. It came from somewhere else, you guys.
Yeah, totally. Even, that saying of apple pie, as American as apple pie, not one ingredient in apple pie is from North America. It's not indigenous to here, not even the apples, not the lard, not the flour, not the cinnamon, none of it. It's just, we just decided. It's very arbitrary. And it's very possible that in 100 years, pad thai will be, all American. We don't know.
And I hope so, because Indian food is not yet celebrated like all these other food that's out there. Japanese food had its moment with anaka, right? And we have kato, the Taiwanese Japanese fusion fine dining. I don't know if you've been there yet. It's such an exciting place that a 25-year-old chef, Michelin star in a strip mall, fusion Taiwanese and Chinese cuisine, a taste menu. Maybe we'll go next time in LA that we can experience that
I
together.
would I would love to. I don't get out to LA that often, but I know Nikki Nakaya and I have been to Ennaka, which is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think that the future of food, still like the past of American food, lies with immigrant culture. That's who brings it forth. And then, of course we Americanize it, but even Thai people or Indian people, for our mothers and grandmothers, they could not find the ingredients that they wanted here. So, like when you talk to those ladies in the Thai episode, I said, what were you like? How could you find green papaya? And they said, we couldn't find green papaya. We'll just make it with green apple. But who's going to tell that grandmother that that's not authentic? It's authentic to her. So I love this, sort of transformation that traditional food from different countries goes through just by way of necessity when it comes to this country. Also, both parents are usually working and, in these immigrant households. So you also have to adapt the recipes to make it possible to cook quickly on a weeknight for your family because also the education, you have to do the homework. It's not easy.
Well, thank you so much for putting this show out there. What a poignant time to have the show because it's not just about food. In fact, it's truly about anthropology. It's about history, about who we are. I learned about my own culture on the show that I did not even know about, and that I want to thank you for that, and I want to thank you for continuing to celebrate so many different communities that you represent, and being such an inspirational force out there for all of us. And to me, you are the crossover from fashion to food is what I always aspire and love on television. So what is next for you? What is next? Can we have season 2 and 3 sign and let's go? And I'll join you along the road somewhere.
I hope so. Listen, you guys, we have to get enough eyeballs on Taste the Nation so that Hulu will give me a second season. So, if you haven't watched it, please take a look. I hope there's a season 2. I would love to do a season 2. Right now, we're trying to figure out how we're going to shoot Top Chef, and we're trying to figure that out right now. I will be coming out with a children's book next year with Penguin Random House. So I'm very excited about that. We have found a beautiful illustrator named Juana Martinez Nell, who is Peruvian, and I love her work. And so we're very lucky to have her illustrate the book. And I'm really excited. It's based on a story that I would tell my daughter when she was smaller. But I'm going to do another season of Top Chef. I'm already done the children's book. We're working on the cookbook version of Taste the Nation because originally it was supposed to be a cookbook. That's how it started. And so we're still doing that. We just had to stop to do the show. But it's good because we have a lot of recipes we've collected. So look out for that as well.
And there's so many more human stories out there that hasn't been unearthed, and we need you to go out there and find them for us. Thank you for taking us on this incredible journey on Taste the Nation and continue to educate us how important it is to embrace all colors. And when you embrace all the colors, embracing all the spices that comes with it. And I couldn't say enough thank you for representing all those different sectors of our lives. Thank you so much for being with me today.
You're welcome. And by the way, if you're interested in those spices, you can get the Encyclopedia of Spices and Herbs, which is a very useful. I'm going to plug my book, even though it's 4 years old, but it's a good reference guide. Anyway, thanks for having me on the show. I got to run. Mwah. I really enjoyed it. And when I'm in LA, I'm going to count on you to take me to that restaurant.
And then what we're also going to do, we have to get in front of the lens. You're going to have to get in front of my lens, and we have to collaborate together on something extremely beautiful together.
No problem. I would love that. Take care.
Well, everybody, that was Padma, one and only, and thank you so much for being with me here today, Padma. Taste the Nation, guys. If you haven't seen it yet, please go to Hulu and watch it. It is such an incredible journey. It's so beautifully done. The DP work, the cinematography is so gorgeous. You really feel like you're going on a journey with Padma through all different landscapes of people and food and histories of food. I learned about chop suey and what chop suey is. If you don't know what that is, I think in one of the episodes 4 or 5, that tells you all about the chop suey. And then who doesn't want to see Padma eat pack rat? Come on, that alone. Make sure you go to Hulu and watch the show and support the show, because I really hope there will be a season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need this kind of voice out there, and I appreciate her so much because when I turn on the television, I couldn't be happier to see an immigrant, a color immigrant, a women telling stories where the custodial food resides with women to begin with. So thank you again, Padma, for being with me here today, and thank you to all of you for watching and joining me today. I am so proud to be here with her, and I'm so proud to be here with you guys. I'll see you guys again tomorrow.